Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, once you go through conducting a cultural competence quiz, you will get to know the overall awareness of people's their understanding about a given culture. As we all know that cross cultural competencies are multifold. This is one of the articles that was published in International Journal of Cross Cultural Management in 2015. Here these authors have developed a tool for cultural quotient assessment, where they tried to measure metacognitive quotient, cognitive quotient, motivational quotient and behavioral quotients. So, let us have a look at it. So, this is the article that was published in cross cultural management measuring cultural intelligence. I will just show you some of the items. Yes. So, these are some of the items. Say for examples like metacognitive, metacognitive is nothing. So, these measures what we call the cultural quotient intelligence inventory, cultural intelligence. So, it measures 4 aspects. One is called metacognitive quotient. This is nothing but a person's cultural consciousness and awareness of cultural cues during interaction with people from other cultural backgrounds. A group of authors like Ang and his colleagues 2006 described that it as a processes people use to acquire and understand cultural knowledges. For examples, people with metacognitive CQ or cultural intelligence consciously question their own cultural assumptions, reflects on these assumptions, develop cultural knowledge and understanding during interactions with people from other countries. So, when they find is there any discrepancies, is there any similarities, is there any shortfall in their cultures, they question why this, is it okay for my survival, is it good for my societies, it is good for my, is it good for my organizations. So, these are some of the questions that acts as an inner dialogue within yourself when you try to develop this kind of understanding, cultural understanding at your conscious levels. The second is called cognitive CQ. This is a competence based on knowledge of norms, practices and conventions, that how good are you in practicing your cultural norms, rules, regulation and convention. I have seen there are many psychology professors when they travel abroad. I have seen they are practicing so many orthodox rituals in pertaining to their lifestyles, food habits, dress patterns, etc., etc. A person who travels to a country where non-vegetarian is prominently predominantly taken by people, but I have seen people taking fruits only and alive for weeks without any dishes because everything is non-veg in that country. So, this kind of cognitive CQ, that this kind of understanding gives them a sacred feelings. So, that is why they try to practice this kind of rituals, but it one way, although it is good for their survival, the other way it restricts them, because we often believe that when you are in Rome, behave like a Roman. However, there are 2 other quotient, what we call cultural quotient, related to motivational domain and behavioral domain. The motivational domain represents one's capability to direct attention and energy towards learning about and functioning in a situation characterized by cultural differences. People with high motivational cultural quotients have an interesting interest in cross-cultural situations and are confident of their personal cross-cultural effectiveness. So, therefore, people those who are high in their motivational cultural quotients are likely to adapt to other cultures very fast. They will be more effective in other cultures. They will be easily learning the other cultural patterns of behavior in a other country or different country. So, this will facilitate their cross cultural effectiveness. And the fourth one is what we call the behavioral cultural intelligence or cultural quotient, that refers to the capability to exhibit appropriate verbal and non-verbal behavior when interacting with people from different cultures. This is exactly I was highlighting that this is very much important. You must know how to express your emotions, how to express your non-verbal languages in other culture, whether it is appreciated in that culture or it is encouraged in that culture. One need to have this kind of awareness and knowledge, otherwise a person will be misunderstood, misinterpreted. So, that will create a great deal of conflict. So, let us check out what this scale measures. I am conscious of cultural knowledge I use when interacting with people with different cultural backgrounds. So, if you are scoring it high, then you are measuring that you are high on your metacognitive intelligence. I adjust my cultural knowledge as I interact with people from a culture that is unfair to me. I am conscious of cultural knowledge I apply to cross-cultural interactions. I check the accuracy of my cultural knowledge as I interact with people from different countries. So, a high score on these 4 items indicates you are high on your metacognitive, cultural quotient. But when you go down and see, I know the legal and economic systems of other countries. This is pertaining to your knowledge, skills, competencies about other countries. I know the rules, the vocabulary, the grammar of the language that is being used here. I know the cultural values and the religious beliefs of other cultures. I know the marriage systems of other cultures. I know the arts and craft of other cultures. I know the rules of expressing nonverbal behaviors in other cultures, and also I know the rules and regulation walking on the street, because a person moving from Asian countries to Western countries will find a great deal of difficulty in terms of traffic rules and regulations. So, these are certain cognitive related abilities that facilitate cross cultural competencies. The third category is called the motivational CQ, or motivational cultural context. What do you call? I enjoy interacting with people from different cultures. When you go to United States, every weekend people celebrate, people dance with drinks. But a Indian who is typical Indian from deep down village, is very hesitant. He is happy with a cup of tea. He hates drinking. How he will, interact with these peoples? So, after some time he will be odd man out. He has to leave the organization. But a clever fellow who is culturally or cross cultural competent will easily accommodate. He should think that I am a man now in the United States, not in India. So, I should adjust to this condition as per the requirements. That is the ideal ability required for cross cultural competencies. I am sure I can deal with the stresses of adjusting to a culture that is new to me. So, this kind of feelings that often comes in individualistic culture, where people often try to maintain their own privacy, but a person from collective society is always like to live in the gang of others or in the group of friends or own family peoples, where collective society people are likely to suffer when they migrate from collectivistic cultural country to individualistic culture country. But when you look into the behavioral cultural quotient, I change my verbal behavior when a cross cultural interaction required. So as per the demand of the situation, if you rephrase your words, if you bring change in your behavior or in your actions, and you communicate the way it is appreciated in other culture, probably that will enhance your cross cultural effectiveness. Say for examples like, I use pause, silence differently to use different cross cultural situations. It has been seen in TOEFL examination, when and there is another examination called ELT or something like International English Language Test. It has been observed very frequently in India that Indians speak very fast. They are very aggressive in their spoken English. They speak very fast. So that's why it is always recognized that you should take a pause, allow others to get to know what you are actually trying to convey. So your communication style should be such that it will be neither too fast nor too slow. Too slow will be also an indication of a very poor state of your intelligence. So that's why keeping all these things in mind, one should express himself while interacting with a person from other cultures. I change my nonverbal behavior when a cultural interaction requires. Too much of body movements in front of others also creates very bad impressions. So one should make use of body language minimum possible. So that will reflects a better side of your behavior. I alter my facial expressions when a cross cultural interaction required it. So this is how a high score on these 4 dimensions reflects a better side of one's cross cultural quotients. So it has been seen that a person having cultural intelligence, high level of cultural intelligence, is likely to be competent cultural across cultures. So cultural competence is nothing but a process of learning that leads to an ability to effectively respond to the challenges and opportunities proposed by the presence of cultural diversity in a defined social systems. So these are some of the elements of cultural competence. Awareness of one's own culture, how much you know about a culture, Japanese culture, Chinese culture as an Indian, how much you know about American culture, how much you know about South American culture or Latin American cultures. Understanding the dynamics of difference, what is causing difference or creating difference between you and the person from other cultures, you need to understand. Cross cultural competence also helps a person to develop awareness and acceptance of differences. Can you interact with a person who is a non-vegetarian, you being a vegetarian person, or do you have some hatred within yourself? I have seen people cannot take their food in front of non-vegetarians. So they are so much rigid about their practices and lifestyles. Number 4, development and applications of cultural knowledge. This is also another competency of cross cultural knowledge and skills. Celebration of diversity. Are you ready to celebrate other cultures in terms of rituals, social customs, marriage systems, religions? You are a Hindu. Can you go to a mosque and pray God? You are a Muslim. Can you go to Christian? Can you go to church to embrace Christianity? So this kind of flexibility always brings in change and develop cross cultural adaptability. Cross cultural competence also has been described as to be culturally competent does not mean you are an authority in the values and beliefs of every culture. What it means is that you hold a deep respect for other cultures and you have a good understanding of the similarity and the differences in others, and you are eager to learn, you are eager to bring change in yourself. So that is the most important competency in the framework of cross cultural competence, and how much you are willing to accept, and that are many ways in viewing the world, that is very important. So these are some of the quick tips for checking your cross cultural continuum. Suppose you are a beginner, you are at the red light area, what you call red, this this is your attitude, your behavior, values and practices. They are completely at a freeze stage, you can say. And then where you are feeling threatened by other cultures, you are destructive, like Hindu Muslim fight, intergroup fight between Hindu Muslim. So that means you are at the red light area now. Now with the education and training, you realize orange is lack of, you are open to experience, but you don't have the required skills and knowledge. So therefore your lack of skills and knowledge to respond effectively to the needs, interest and preferences of culturally and linguistically diverse groups. Then when you move on and educate yourself, you will reach at a stage that is called yellow. So this is a stage where you develop, you change your beliefs and practices, and that support viewing and treat all people the same. Then thereafter you start telling others all human beings are equal. There is only one religion, that is humanity. There is only one race, that is humanity. There is only one ethnicity, that is humanity. So then you reach out a label that is called green. This is a label that embraces other. You have a full awareness about other strength and areas for growth to respond effectively to culturally and linguistically diverse population. So now you are ready to respond to the global diversity. So therefore you can accept the differences that is you observing in other cultures, and you can respect them. And the purpose is that now you are ready to embrace the whole world, that is called, you holds a culture in high esteem. Every culture is good, it is the way you look at, that is very important. That is the true competency in terms of cross cultural framework. This is how a person move from growing himself. Initially you are very rigid and you do not accept other culture, you are very destructive. Then there are your cultural capability is very less, you are too much ignore about other culture, and then you start learning about it, you reach out the culturally pre-competence stage. Then after developing awareness, you are now ready to embrace others, that is called the cultural competence. And this is a cultural proficiency you are practicing, you are accommodating other cultures. This is how the framework cultural competence continuum goes on. So this is how when you grow up and develop your awareness about other religions, other cultures and other races, then you develop your cultural competency framework. The cultural destructiveness are, these are actively participate in purposeful attacks on other cultures, like Bajrangi Dal, they go and attack McDonald's during the celebration of Lovers Day or Father's Day or Mother's Day. So people, the custodian of Indian culture, they feel threatened. This is a cultural pollution to India, that's why they think like this. But there is nothing like this. The moment you feel that that is also a kind of rituals in other cultures and that brings closer people, then your attitude will be changed. Then cultural incapacity, lacking the capacity to help individuals to form other cultures. You are unable to create a place for other culture. Then cultural ignorance, the perspective that color or culture makes no difference whatsoever. You may be black, I may be white. You may be Hindu, I may be Muslim. It hardly matters for creating a society. Cultural pre-competence means awareness of one's limitations in serving persons of diversity. So you need that nobody is perfect in this world, no society is bad in this world. So we should embrace each other's limitations and strengths and weaknesses. Cultural competence is accepting and respecting differences among and within different cultures. Even in India, India being one of the most multicultural country, there are different society exist within it and there are variations, but we embrace each other. The moment we accept each other's, we call that there is unity in diversity. So that's why India is known for its diversity. Even if we are diverse in our culture, we live as one Indian in terms of our unity. So that is where you display a cultural proficiency, taking a proactive approach towards cross-cultural competency. This is a process of gaining cross-cultural competency from lack of cultural awareness to actively seeking knowledge about other cultures, educate others about cultural differences. So when you educate others about cultural differences, you accept, appreciates and accommodates other cultural differences, and that is where you can merge one culture with other culture. So the reflections is here that now think about where you fall on this continuum. What is one thing you can do more about or more along the continuum towards cultural proficiency? Once you go back and check this framework, where do you stand exactly and what needs to be done? Are you at the destructive state, incapacity state, blind state, competent state? Accordingly you can embrace others. So reflection should also include where does the agency fall on this continuum, how much or how can everyone work together to move the agency along the continuum towards cultural proficiency. We all need cultural competence, being from different culture, bring from unknown cultures. So everyone will work with people outside their own cultural group. So they must be able to learn about, relate to, communicate with people who are different from themselves. So that's why there should be, you will find in all MNCs, in all multinational companies, there is one canteen, one common room, because people can meet each other, people can interact with each other and they can share with each others. So all the foods are varieties, but place is same, and this common place that brings them closer to know about each others, and that builds trust and rapport with each other, that enables them to work together effectively. So that is the perspective of cross-cultural competence. So the key elements of cross-cultural competent organizations and their staff are: they value diversity, assess themselves, manage the dynamics of difference, acquire and institutionalize cultural knowledge, adapt to diversity and the cultural context of individuals and communities served. So say for examples, I am an Indian, but if I think that if I learn Japanese, that will be an added advantage to me, I should embrace it, I should learn it. But if I put a full stop, no, it is not going to help me anyway, I will be in trouble when I travel to Japan. So that is how one should embrace other cultures. This is a popular phrase. How one can explore strategies to enhance cross-cultural competence. So this is a popular slogan during the US presidential campaign speech by Hillary Clinton. Together we can make America better, safer and greater. So together, what do you mean by together? That summarizes everything. Let's come and embrace each other. So that was just countering the speech of Donald Trump, even if she was defeated, but that created a lot of appreciation all over the globe. So now the question is enhancing cross-cultural competency. So this is a this is a side you can get the slice of the cross-cultural competency framework through this video. So one can enhance cross-cultural competencies of its organization by nurturing cross-cultural values. Governance, it can be nurtured through good governance by goal setting, policy making. Your rules and regulations should be such that accommodates people from across cultures. It should be a place for diverse cultural backgrounds. There should not be any issue of conflict related to ethnicity, race, religion, language, etc. Planning and monitoring evaluation, mechanisms and process used to guide cultural competence planning, system activities in place and track the changes that is happening and at a different level of cultural competence. Communication, the exchange of information between organizations should be clearly communicated and internally among the staff in ways to promote cultural competence. So whether it is a health organization, manufacturing organization or a telecom organizations, so the development plan should start with from the bottom line, staff development program, then creating organizational infrastructures and services or intervention, the degree to which organization delivers services in culturally competent manners. So these are some of the tips leading with cultural intelligence. If you read local newspaper, then you will get to know what is happening nearby. So that is very much important. Go to the movies and museum, know about the cultural patterns of those country. Eat out in McDonald's, KFC, you will get to know what is happening to India. Or you go to China, Chinatown, you will get Chinese foods, Chinese other items. So that is how we enhance our capacity and awareness about other cultures. Learn a new language, attend cultural celebrations, find a cultural coach. This is the most better way, who can guide you. Visit a temple, mosque and a church, you will get to know more about what is happening in that culture. Consume a variety of new sources, new dress, new foods, new other items, etc., etc. Join a multicultural group. This is nowadays in different countries there are clubs, they accommodate people from different culture. Be a member of that, get to know about people. Take a class in other culture, you will interact with students, you will get to know more about them. Create a faith in club, then you can enhance your level of trust. So these are some of the points that one must look into for enhancing cultural intelligence. The lessons learned is that cultural competence can build relationship building. So therefore there is a need for cross cultural education. So the cross cultural competency can be developed through our education or academic interactions. Cross cultural education is a key intervention strategy in reducing conflicts and disparity. Once you address the issue of attitudes, cultural sensitivity and awareness approach, and once you increase the knowledge of multiculturalism and categorical approach, this categorical approach actually gives rise to class and caste conflicts. So once you remove that barrier, probably that will create a common platform for cross cultural interactions. Then develop skills through cross cultural approach, like developing knowing about other language, religion, ethnicity, learning other languages. So this is how knowing about the rules, regulations, governance of other countries, you develop your cross cultural intelligence. So this is how gradually you build up your skills to enhance cross cultural competency. So cultural intelligence is dependent on mainly three aspects: cultural competence, cross cultural efficacy and cultural humility. Cultural competence is your knowledge, attitude and skills about other cultures, related to health related beliefs, administration, governance, treatments and other cultures. Cross cultural efficacy means providers or administrators learns how their own culture understands new patients are called. In case of health related organizations, culturally based behaviors are important. And humility, deliver service with empathy, that is what we call humility. So humility is the best quality that can enhance one's cross cultural effectiveness across culture. But in addition to that, these are some of the tips that has been noted here, that you need to develop cultural beliefs, behavior and common practices, attitude towards other systems, and specifically in terms of inquiring, learning specific preferences of individuals, what works better for people in other cultures, understand that cultures are diverse within themselves, and most important is self reflections. Enhance your self awareness of your own attitudes, beliefs in order to minimize the influence of stereotypes on your practices. Skills, you learn, ask appropriate questions about race, ethnicity, family, religion, so that you will get to know more about others. So extend your cultural competence to your work as a member of the organizations. Religious, racial and ethnicity diversity, diversity in terms of age, gender, sexual orientation, disability, socioeconomic status, etc., etc. This will enrich one's knowledge and skills to facilitate one's cross cultural competencies. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you very much. These are some of the assignments one can do. What do you know about your cultural background? Identify the cultural issues that influence feeling, thinking and actions. How can you develop cross-cultural competence? What is the need of cross-cultural competence in today's world? Where do you place emotional intelligence in the framework of cross-cultural adaptability? That's all. Thank you very much.